Mending villagers are the backbone of any great Minecraft world. For just a few emeralds, I will never need a new set of tools, and diamonds are basically useless. But here's the problem. This guy currently lives in an acacia box, and I don't think I can sleep at night knowing the unsung hero of my Minecraft world is essentially homeless. So to fix that, I'm gonna build him a massive mountain temple where he can live out his days in peace. The first thing we need to do is actually clear out some space in this nearby mountain range. The build that I have in mind is pretty dang big, so I need to smooth out the terrain a little bit to have a nice area to build on. I also removed a bunch of the snow and replaced it with stone, which will make sense later, as long as we can ignore the fact that the mountain looks like it's having an identity crisis. Okay, so I want to start collecting materials now, and the first thing I need is 10 stacks of mushroom stems. Yeah, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but I do have a plan. You see, I've been slowly using the interiors of my fishing village to build up farms. I already have a bone meal farm, as well as this sheep farm that I made on a live stream. And through here, there's this naturally generated cave that I think will be a pretty good spot to build a mushroom stem farm. Okay, that should be a big enough space, I think. Now I'll just turn the bone meal farm so it runs in the background, and then I can start collecting up materials to build this. The first thing I needed was a bunch of observers, so I made a quick trip into the nether to grab some quartz. The true bottleneck of building up redstone farms right now for me is just the raw materials like iron, gold, and redstone, all of which can and will be farmed at some point, but for now I've been really enjoying just going through the old-fashioned way and mining for them. Besides, it's always nice to take some time and light up caves early on in your Minecraft world, because it's just going to make the future mob farms you build that much more efficient. After just 20 minutes in the mines, I had everything I needed, so I went home and crafted up a bunch of the redstone components like repeaters, comparators, and pistons. Now the plan was to start building right now, but unfortunately my cat Frankie had been acting a little weird for a few days, so I decided to expand my bone meal storage and then leave the farm AFK while I took him to the vet. He was fine, by the way, he's just a cat. I found this design by Rarest, which is really quite simple as far as obscure Minecraft farms go. It works by manually growing in a brown mushroom with bone meal, and then pushing the blocks along a series of piston feed tubes up to a collection area. Now at the same time, this powered rail is going to turn on, sending me up to the top where I simply hold the left click with the Silk Touch axe, and everything gets insta-mined and placed into storage. Things seemed to be working at first, but after just a few minutes, the farm just stopped working. Okay, what the heck, dude? This mushroom won't grow in. I don't know what to do. I thought maybe it was a light level issue since mushrooms like the dark, but I removed all the torches and slabbed the floor and it's still not growing. Okay, so I've done some investigative work, which basically means I looked at flashback footage, and it seems that there's this piece of stone I forgot to remove that is clogging everything up. There we go. And yeah, I think we're back in business. As cool as this farm is, it's primarily a brown mushroom block farm, not a mushroom stem farm. You see, for every mushroom that I grow in, I only get 4 mushroom stems. So I had to run it for a good hour or so to get all that I needed, but overall it wasn't too bad. Okay, finally. Oh my goodness, I'm tired, dude. Okay, it's the next day, and now that the hardest block is done, I want to challenge myself to gather everything else I need today. It's going to be hard, but I think I can do it. I'll start by gathering the remainder of the white blocks, keeping on theme with the mushroom stems, beginning with diorite, which I can easily mine underwater thanks to my conduit, bone blocks, a bunch of pale oak bits and bobs, a little bit of quartz, and some white concrete powder. With the white blocks collected, I moved further into the grayscale territory, beginning with tough, and considering I'm using this more and more in my builds, I want to do install a quick access from my base down into the big cave where I go mining. Let's hope this works. Cool. The rest of the gray blocks were really easy to get, things like cobbled deep slate, acacia wood, andesite, clay, and cobblestone, which meant that I could move on to the black blocks. The first thing I did was empty out my sheep farm of pretty much all of its black wool and then turn it into banners. You'll see why I need these in a bit, but trust me when I say they are the most important block in the entire build that I have planned. Next, I needed some black terracotta, but unfortunately my terracotta chest was looking quite sad, so I hopped on my horse and set off to the mesa more than 4,000 blocks away. Oh man, I forgot to bring leads, so I guess we're crossing the rivers like peasants. That's okay. Actually, no, just kidding. We can make some leads. I pretty much just filled up my inventory with regular terracotta, that way I can color it later. But I did go ahead and grab some stacks of yellow and red since I know I'm gonna need these specific ones later. I was just 2 hours into the material gathering phase and I was already starting to lose focus. Oh my god, I was not paying attention. Oh, wow, okay. I think I almost fell asleep right there. Not again. But after making the long journey home, I smelted up my black glazed terracotta and made a few bits of black stone to finish off the grayscale blocks. Okay, I'm finally onto the color blocks, which is exciting. Starting with yellow, I need some bamboo. And even though my farm here kind of sucks booty, I can at least bone meal it, so it'll work. I'll also need some birch wood, as well as a little bit of sand. Okay, that was the easy stuff. Now I need yellow candles. The honeycomb is actually really easy. I just gotta be careful in here, especially after the incident. I don't have any string though, but for now I can just go to the nearby abandoned village and steal all of it from there. And I completely forgot about it, but yellow dye is also very easy to get now thanks to these wildflowers in the birch forest. All right, cool. We're doing pretty good. The last yellow block that I need is a dozen or so bee nests. I really don't need to be using these things, but I kind of enjoy the grind of going out and searching for obscure blocks just for a little bit of a flex. And to collect them, I can use this little trick where I light the nest on fire, pushing the bees out, and then when they go in my inventory, they'll stack together nicely. Ooh, sorry, buddy. That's my bad. Okay, I just ate some lunch and then took a nice 2-mile walk. And next up for me is green. Now these are all super easy to get, so I'll just rush through them. Moving on to red, I gathered some granite from another underwater cave before chopping down a bunch of mangrove wood. I also had to grab more netherrack and smelt that down for some nether bricks, but overall it wasn't too bad. With that out of the way, I was onto the bulkiest color yet, brown. Luckily, these are all really straightforward Minecraft blocks, just a bunch of dark oak wood, jungle, regular oak, and spruce. Oh, and some coarse dirt. Gotta have that coarse dirt. And after nearly 6 hours of material gathering, I was just left with one final block type. Copper. I really should have gathered this sooner in the day because I needed it to be aged and waxed in the final build. But either way, I made myself a temporary copper aging field and then spent an hour or so just chatting with buddies on Discord. All right, I still have an hour or so until my fiance gets home, so I could start building technically, but I think my time will be better spent if I go get some new items. Without having an elytra, I've been absolutely losing my mind running up and down the mountain to store the build materials. So I want to make a stop here in the warped forest and stock up on as many ender pearls as I can. Oh, okay. Nope, not that. There we go. A couple of stacks should be enough. Now I just gotta find a soul sand valley because yes, I want to get myself a happy gas to help with the actual building process. Oh, I didn't realize I still needed that one. That's cool. Oh, there we go. Here's a dry guy. All right, let's take you with me and get the heck out of here. Now, if I just put you in some water, I think you'll slowly hydrate. It takes 20 minutes for these guys to do anything interesting. So in the meantime, I started a little pig pen because food was running low. Yo, oh wait, there's particles. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got it. Yo, hello. How are you, buddy? I will name you Judge Judy because you are an icon and will be respected as such. Take me to the promised land. Oh my God, you're so slow. My inspiration for this build is based on the real Buddhist temple in Bhutan, Paro Tatsgang, more commonly known as the Tiger's Nest. Located in the Paro Valley, deep in the Himalayas at 3,000 meters elevation, lies an ancient cave. The cave turned into a sacred meditation site after this guy began meditating there and teaching students in the 8th century. According to legends, he first visited the cave when he rode there from Tibet on the back of a tigress. Can we just talk about how freaking baller it is that this guy rode like 300 or 400 kilometers on the back of a tiger, dude? Like what? But even crazier is it took more than 1,000 years for the temple itself to begin construction, when this other guy, who many claim to be the original guy, just reincarnated, began building it in 1692. I don't know what's more impressive to me, the temple itself or the staggering steep cliffs it's built upon. It's really hard to find good reference images that don't come from this one viewing angle, so I'm focusing primarily on the front structure here. I recently made some new building friends and they've helped me a ton with this design, especially in the large windows where they completely opened up my mind to a new building technique. They call it banner tech. Okay, it's really quite simple. Basically, by placing reverse banners on top of each other, you get this crosshatched look that is way more detailed than just using fences. Because I made the scale pretty large for this build, I really tried to incorporate all of the smaller details, like little archways, this upper balcony, a bunch of the new shelf blocks, even using brighter and darker blocks to simulate where the sunlight would hit or it would be shadowy. The main structure is a large oblong shape with plenty of diagonal walls to add character. Asymmetric builds in Minecraft are challenging to design, but they really help get you out of the normal box that Minecraft wants to put you in. Help! I'm stuck in a metaphor. All right, now that is what I call a view. And I think I've done a pretty good job of recreating the actual shape, or at least the vibe of the temple itself. Ow. But now we need to address the terrain, because it turns out that the Himalayas are way cooler than default Minecraft mountains, which is a surprise to nobody. I'm not gonna lie, I am really intimidated at the idea of building true custom terrain. So for now, I went through and detailed out a small section to kind of use it as a trial run or proof of concept. I used a bunch of greens and browns to loosely mimic the actual colors from my inspiration. I also added in this big coarse dirt platform in the back because I don't know why I did that actually, but I think it looks cool. Okay, let's be real. I'm not gonna finish the terrain today. This is gonna require like a full mountain transformation. So instead, I wanna take my focus to the interior, where Judge Judy is currently stuck. I forgot you were here. The first thing I had to do was start digging out some space. I may have just built this against the side of a mountain, but I want the interior to be completely hollowed out. Now, I'm nowhere near getting a haste 2 beacon in this world, but thanks to my bone meal farm, I could just spread a bunch of moss and then insta-mine it with my hoe. I honestly love creative solutions like this because not only did it save me a bunch of time, but it gave me a lot of moss that I can save for later builds. Okay, that's looking a little bit better, but now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna utilize this space. As you can see, these really cool 3D windows don't really lend themselves too well for simple interiors. So now I'm going through installing a bunch of stone to kind of help me outline a box that I can build in if that makes sense. All right, now let's just lay out some archways, outline a little ceiling structure, and boom, interior's done. Look at that, that's cool. Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. Before I could finish the interior though, I had to turn my focus back to a lingering issue with this project. The constant journey up and down the mountain was really awkward and clunky and honestly annoying. And the sad reality is that Judge Judy over here is just way too slow to be fun. Obviously, if I just had an elytra, this wouldn't be a problem. With just one rocket, I could very easily make it up and down the temple and not even bat an eye. But in my opinion, that kind of closes the door on unique opportunities. You see, my long-term goal with this project is to eventually transform the entire mountain into custom terrain and connect the temple up to the rest of the base with a long, winding pathway full of checkpoints and story elements. But even then, I need a quick way to get up and down right now. So I began digging out a tunnel below my starter base leading all the way to the temple at Y level 0. This is going to be a dolphin hyperspeed tunnel, or at least a little baby version of one. By combining Depth Strider, Soul Speed, Dolphin's Grace, Speed 2, and a Riptide Trident, you can go hundreds of blocks per second. I did this in an old Minecraft world and I was able to travel 2,000 blocks in like 15 seconds or less. But since this tunnel is only a couple hundred blocks, I think I can get away with just Depth Strider and Dolphin's Grace. Okay, so the tunnel is almost done. I just have one more dolphin to kidnap, I mean permanently borrow, and I thought I would show you how easy it is to actually get one. Oh my gosh. So firstly, I just head out here to the ocean, attach this guy to a lead, and then proceed to swim all the way back to my base through the connecting rivers. Honestly, this alone is so fast that I'm considering kidnapping a bunch more of these guys and just planting them along the river edge so I can just constantly zoom around. Anyways, then we just take this guy through this long tunnel I dug, give him a name tag, what's up Harry, and pull him into his holding cell right here. Now I just install a bubble elevator so he can breathe and fill in the ceiling. Okay, let's test this out and see if it works. Just gotta close the trapdoor. Oh yeah, we're zooming. and I get sent directly into the water elevator. Dude, this is great. When it comes to this interior, I'm kind of just winging it. Unfortunately, you can't film or take any photos inside the real Tiger's Nest temple, so the only way to see it is in person, and your boy has a wedding to pay for, so yeah, we're taking a different approach here. I ended up spending my entire afternoon just browsing a bunch of monastery interiors on Google, and I kind of want to replicate just the general vibe I'm seeing. Firstly, for the floor, I went through outlining things with nether wart blocks and some of the warped nylium. I also used various glazed terracottas to create a vibrant pattern. Look, it's not the easiest on the eyes, I'll admit, but I really want this place to kind of pop when you walk in. Next, I went through working on these archways that I outlined, and this is where the true banner tech comes to life. By using alternating colors of orange and yellow and red and light blue banners, and then stacking them vertically on top of each other, you can make some really fun wall patterns that add a lot of interest, especially when they're offset behind some glass. Banners are your friend. Join the banner tech movement. It won't hurt you. Says the banners. I also added a layer of the new shelf blocks along each of the support pillars just to add more depth. After that, I started working on the ceiling supports using a bunch more of the glazed terracotta. This is really quickly becoming my favorite block in the game. And all that's left now is to fill in this upper ceiling section. Okay, so we'll start with a layer of stripped oak, moving on to the jungle planks, then regular oak. Oh, I fell. And finally some stripped spruce. Oh yeah, dude, that looks so cool. Like you can see all the cross beams that create the roof foundation. It just needs one more thing though. Yep, I'm out of here. I do not want to die today. Nope, not on the agenda. The last thing I did was go through placing banners and trapdoors into the actual shelves themselves. These serve absolutely no purpose other than adding some extra trimming and detail, which I think looks pretty cool. The only downside though is I have to go through and put one individual item in each shelf, because if you click on them with a full stack, it'll just suck up the whole thing from you. But either way, the interior was now done, which means that it's time to go get this mending guy, and he's way over there, so I got a little bit of a journey ahead of me, it seems. I don't know why I was kind of nervous moving this guy to his home, but I just had this weird feeling moving arguably the most important piece of my world into this massive grand temple that I have absolutely no reason to visit. I mean, think about it. The very nature of mending books is that you only really need them a couple of times, and then all of your tools and armor lasts forever. All right, how are we gonna do this? Okay, I guess I'll just place a workstation and try to lure you in here. No, dude, get back here, you goofball. Okay, and boom. There we go. I hope you like it. Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I didn't think this through. Having this awesome build with no reason to visit kind of goes against how I like to play Minecraft. Also, I literally kidnapped dolphins to create a fast way to get here. So yeah, I need a reason to actually come here. And I think I have a cool idea. Step one is to come over here in the side of the mountain and dig out a little room. This is gonna make sense in a bit. I wanna connect it up to the temple with a water elevator. And up here, I'm gonna install a tripwire dispenser system full of slow falling potions to hopefully limit casualties during the ride. Maybe. Step 2 involves collecting and transporting a bunch of villagers. Over time, I've found a few zombie villagers and kept them in boats for later use, but it's time they fulfill their greater purpose. Now, I'm not really big on world lore, but I kind of like to imagine these zombie villagers were having a tough time in life until they stumble into the temple one day, where the mending villager took them in, cured them, and helped them find a purpose in life. Except for this guy, who turned out to be a nitwit. Sorry, buddy. Operation Villager Curification and Movification was going good. Unfortunately, though, a couple of them were pretty far away, and while moving a pair of them through this river, tragedy struck. Oh gosh, no. No, you have a trident. Oh my gosh, no, leave him alone. No! Oh no! We just cured him, dude, no. All right, buddy, get in this boat. Just stay here. I gotta go check on your friend. Hey, buddy, how are you doing? You feeling okay, pal? It might not look like it, but this guy is now the most rare mob in my world. Normally when zombies enter water, they sink and convert to drowned after 30 seconds or so. But thanks to the conduit I set up with nautilus shells from fishing, this guy can just breathe underwater here. And on top of that, since he was cured and then re-zombified from the trident, the game treats him as a persistent mob, which means he's not gonna despawn no matter where I go. So yeah, I guess he lives here now. Okay, I finally got some phantom membranes so I can load this up with the slow falling potions. Now let's test out our transport system here. All right, buddy, you're gonna be my test dummy. No, it's okay. Don't be scared. I do this all the time. Yeah. Okay, he's swimming. Wonderful. Up the chute he goes. And he safely floats his way down as a changed man. Dude, this is so corny. I love it. And finally, for step 3, I'm gonna move these guys into position and establish them as my stonemason army. These guys trade terracotta and a bunch of other useful stuff, so if I can get enough of them, I can avoid more of those long trips to the mesa from now on. But here's the thing, I still have like 10 slots to fill in this room, and now that I've started collecting the villagers, I feel like if I don't finish it, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. So alas, here I am, risking my hardcore world to create a quick way to get more zombie villagers. Basically, I just wait here for things to spawn below, and if I don't see any zombie villagers, I simply head up the ladder until things despawn, then I rinse and repeat. When I finally saw one, I had to make my way down, avoid the absolute army of mobs trying to kill me, get the zombie in a boat, block them off so they don't burn in the sunlight, and then make my way back up the scaffolding in one piece. Oh, you've gotta be kidding me, bro. What is that? Why would that happen? Come daytime, I would cure any zombies I collected from the previous night, send them off to the temple, and then patch up any creeper holes before doing the entire thing over and over again. Oh, and the nitwits. God, the nitwits were annoying. They still haunt my dreams, oh my gosh. Poor guy. All right, this guy is in, which means there's just one final spot left to fill. And as I collected the final villager, I couldn't help but feel a huge sense of pride. This is the biggest thing I've built so far, and it has me so inspired to keep expanding in this world. Yes, he's in. Oh my gosh, I've done it. Seriously though, let me know in the comments if you think my obsession with a random temple in Baton was worth it, or if I just have ADHD. It's probably the ADHD. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.